in the vibrant city of Lagos. With its lively sounds and warm, spicy air, Beauty and Tony found love when they least expected it. Beauty was a pretty journalist. She spent her days going around the city, collecting stories. With her ever-present notebook and tape recorder, she moved from one end of Lagos to the other, determined to capture its pulse. Tony, in contrast, was calm and collected. He was an artist, and a quiet soul. He painted from a small studio tucked away in an old building. Tony saw beauty in simplicity. His art, vivid and intimate, held stories of everyday life, heartbreak, joy, and resilience. To him, love was essential. It was his inspiration, his muse, the source of every stroke of his brush. Their worlds collided on a sweltering Sunday afternoon. Beauty had been out on an assignment, sweating through the day in search of a story. She needed a moment to cool off, and a small gallery nearby caught her eye. As she wandered through the exhibit, she was captivated by Tony's work. His paintings weren't just colors on canvas. They held feelings, emotions, stories that leapt out at her. One piece in particular caught her attention. A portrait of a young couple standing hand in hand, smiling as if they held the world's secrets. She was so absorbed that she didn't notice him standing beside her. "You like it?" a soft but resonant voice asked, startling her. She turned to see a man, tall, with dark skin and eyes that held a warmth she couldn't quite place. "It's beautiful," she whispered, somewhat shy. "Whoever painted this, they see the world in a way that makes you want to look closer." His lips curved into a soft smile. "Thank you," he replied. "I'm the painter." "Tony." Their eyes met. And in that moment, the world outside faded away. They spent hours talking in the gallery. Beauty captivated by Tony's stories of his art, his love for Lagos, and the depth he found in life's simple pleasures. In turn, he was drawn to her strength, her drive, her determination. She told him about her latest assignments, her crazy deadlines, and her goal to give a voice to the people of Lagos through her work. From that day on, Beauty and Tony became inseparable. She'd visit him at his studio, bringing snacks to share over lunch as they laughed, talked, and sometimes sat in comfortable silence while he painted. He walked her to her bus stop, fingers brushing as they walked side by side, their laughter echoing in the evening air. She'd watch him paint, mesmerized by the way he poured himself into his work, and he'd steal glances at her, wondering how someone so strong could be so gentle. One night, after a long day, they found themselves wandering the quiet streets of Lagos. They strolled under the streetlights, their steps slow and unhurried, their words soft in the night. A gentle rain began to fall, and without hesitation, Tony reached for her hand, pulling her close as they sought shelter beneath a large tree. Beauty felt her heart race as he looked at her, his gaze intense yet tender. She felt a softness in him, a vulnerability she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. "I've been trying to tell you something, Beauty," he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. Her breath hitched. She felt his hand in hers, warm and strong, his fingers tracing small circles on her skin. She looked up at him, her eyes meeting his. And in that moment, she felt something deep inside her, something she had been holding back. Without another word, Tom leaned in, his lips brushing against hers in a soft, tentative kiss. Her eyes closed, and everything around them seemed to disappear. She could feel his heart beating against hers as he pulled her closer. His arms wrapping around her as if he never wanted to let her go. That kiss changed everything. It was gentle yet intense. A silent promise spoken through the warmth of his lips and the softness of his touch. They stayed there, wrapped in each other's arms as the rain fell softly around them. Each kiss deeper. Filled with the words they couldn't bring themselves to say. From that night on, their love became their own sanctuary. They were inseparable, finding solace and joy in each other's arms. Beauty, once so fiercely independent, felt a peace she hadn't known before. A quiet comfort that Ton brought into her life. Their romance was passionate and deep, yet somehow still soft, filled with stolen moments and whispered promises. They spent countless nights together in his studio. Her laughter filling the room as he painted. His hands stained with color as he wrapped her in his arms. Kissing her softly, then deeply, as if he were committing every part of her to memory. They'd sit on the floor, their fingers intertwined, sharing stories about their childhoods, dreams, and fears. Each kiss a reminder of the love that grew between them with every passing day. But their love, like all things, faced challenges. Beauty's work often kept her away. Long hours that left her exhausted and sometimes frustrated. There were times she wondered if she was giving enough to their relationship. If she could love Tony in the way he deserved. One evening, after a particularly grueling week, she found herself standing outside his studio, unsure if he'd still be there waiting for her. But as she opened the door, there he was, his arms open, his smile warm, his love steady. Without a word, he pulled her close, wrapping her in his embrace, his lips finding hers in a kiss that melted away all her worries. His touch a gentle reassurance that he'd always be there. They made love that night, a tender, intimate expression of the bond they shared. Tony held her close, his kisses soft yet filled with a passion that spoke of his unwavering love. In those quiet hours, they found themselves tangled in each other's arms, their hearts beating in sync, their breaths mingling as they whispered sweet words. Promises of forever. As dawn broke, Tony lay beside her, watching her sleep, his fingers tracing gentle patterns on her skin. He leaned down, pressing a kiss to her forehead, his voice a soft murmur as he whispered, "I love you, beauty." In her sleepy haze, she reached up, pulling him close. "I love you too, Tony," she whispered, her voice filled with a vulnerability she reserved only for him. More than I ever thought possible. Their love continued to grow, their connection deepening with every passing day. In the heart of Lagos, they built a world together. A love that was quiet yet fierce, strong yet tender. Beauty had finally found her peace in Tony's arms. A love that felt timeless, as if they were two souls bound together long before they ever met. Their love story was written in the streets of Lagos, whispered in the night, and held forever in the warmth of each other's embrace. Please, like this video and subscribe to my channel for more interesting stories like this one.